This week on the podcast, if you're a worrier, we're going to tell you the 5 things that we see business owners worry about more than they should. Welcome to the Profit Cash Growth Podcast. This is the podcast for 6 and 7 figure business owners who are looking to grow a financially successful business. My co-host, Claire Hancott, is a finance director, chartered accountant and entrepreneur. And every week, I'll be exploring guidance and frameworks designed to help you increase your profits, improve your cash flow and grow your business. So, Claire, this week we can either talk about potholes, roadworks, or the weather.
None.
What do you want to talk about then?
Anything was more British than potholes and the weather.
I know. Potholes getting worse. Roadworks blocking the streets and causing mayhem in our town all week. And
outside our office, couldn't get into the office yesterday.
The weather turning a bit better.
Oh, it's been tremendous.
The rain stopped. It's definitely been a lot bit. I mean, what a way to start a British podcast talking about the weather. We really ran out of things to talk about this week. What else do you want to talk about? Not jacket potatoes again, though.
No, I actually can't think of anything this week.
Okay.
Robot dogs?
No. You're going to say that. Well, let's find out what's in this week's news story of the week. So this week, Claire, I was literally blown away. I mean, the headline is that Unitree drops one of its most powerful quadrupeds yet. So this is the... So for anybody, that is the trailer for the Unitree quadruped. So this is, what is it, Claire?
It's a robot dog.
It's a robot dog, and it's absolutely insane.
Now, I legitimately think that this video is a spoof. If you haven't
not a spoof.
Watched this video, go and watch it. And basically, it's a robot dog. But
I'm going to put a link in the show notes below for their launch and their release.
It is completely mimicking a real life dog. There's a guy out running and the dog is running with him. Then he's playing throw and catch with it. They're rolling around on the floor with the dog, having family moments.
He's going hiking and he gets
tired.
No. He puts his entire, obviously the dog's carrying his entire hiking bag with him. He's brilliant. But what an amazing
he gets tired invention. And stands on the back of the dog. And then this is where it does start to fall down a little bit, because then the next clip is him playing tennis with the dog, and instead of walking on 4 legs, the dog is walking on 3 legs and holding the tennis racket.
It did feel silly at that point when the dog was playing tennis with him, but I mean this genuinely. This is a genuine product. This is their 4th iteration of this as well, because it's the 4th one that Unitree have launched in their quadruped section. Honestly, and it is the most powerful one they've done yet, because of just the weight that it can now carry. So the point in when he jumped on it was just, it's not that it's supposed to carry him, it's the proof that it can carry the weight up to a human now. So the point is, basically, the biggest use for this that they've got is military. So this is just amazing to send in to support with military operations, this robot dog, because it can carry really, really heavy items. It can go in and video things. It can see things.
I totally agree with you.
Amazing.
I can see, because they're shooting drones out of the sky like they're nothing now. But, it's probably going to take a while for them to be able to hunt down these robo dogs if they were sort of going into battle on the ground. I totally agree with that. But it's the video that they've created here is not a warfare situation.
No, it's not. They used it like a pet.
That this dog would be your pet. It is bizarre.
I said to you, when I first saw this, this is kind of it is, where does it fit in the market? Because I was like, do you remember when we used to have our cat before it died? And we always said it was the only annoying, we loved the cat, but it was annoying because we used to go away a lot, and it's difficult to go away. So we're well, at least when it died, we can go away more. This is the answer to having a pet, but without the concern about leaving it and all the rest of it.
It's going to have no personality.
Well, honestly, having watched that video, I've got flutters about it. It looks so, because they've made it move like a dog and everything. It's making me it's giving me a little bit of oh, that's cute. Honestly,
shut up.
It's the maddest thing. The next step is that if do you know where they've gone wrong with this? Is that they've left it looking it looks more like a spider, doesn't it, than a dog?
Yeah, it does.
Because it's pure robot. But if they actually gave it a skin and a fur and everything else and made it dog-like, I reckon this would be This would be something amazing. No, where it's really interesting, genuinely speaking, it's things like the biggest things that I saw, like when the guy was hiking up a hill and it's carrying his bag. Nobody wants to carry their bag while they're hiking, but the dog can carry the bag for him. If you were like a golfing, or if you're old and like you want to carry supplies with you, your robot dog can do it. You wouldn't put that on a real dog, would you? Would you? I've never had a dog. Dogs don't carry stuff, do they?
Have you never heard of Beethoven?
No, but they don't. You wouldn't put it. You wouldn't let. It's not. You wouldn't get a
Pyrenees mountain dogs.
What they carry?
All of these dogs that
huskies, yeah,
designed specifically for carrying purposes. I mean, dogs were bred for a purpose. They weren't bred to be pets, believe it or not.
But wouldn't now I've got the Greenpeace view on this. Is it Greenpeace that we shouldn't really be using live animals for doing manual labour and pulling people and things like that? So this could replace that, and we could do a Save the Dogs Back campaign, couldn't we?
I love nothing more than carrying things. Like when we go on a hike, I quite like that you never take a bag with you, and it's me that's got to take the rucksack with the 27 litres of water and the spare coats and the trainers and the dry socks.
Gym,
because I'm like, it's like wearing a weight vest. And maybe other dogs feel the same too. So
right. So the quadruped, dubbed as the AS2, if you want to Google it, it's called the Unitree quadruped, can carry reasonably heavy equipment, climb stairs, steep slopes, and sprint at speeds of up to 11 miles per hour. It's built to survive rain, dust, and extreme temperatures. It's designed for real-world jobs with capabilities including industrial inspection. This is where it could be good, like inspecting underpinning on foundations and things like that.
It's clever, camera down there at the moment.
Outdoor deliveries and emergency response. This might be our answer to when all of the vans and things go driverless. I was always saying, like, we still need a driver, but maybe we just put the robot dog in the seat and it delivers the package to the door.
No, that is actually a good idea.
Look at your face. Look at your face. Suddenly you're on board. Look at your face.
That is actually a good idea, isn't it?
Okay, so
at the moment, like for example, if you ever watch bomb disposal or something like that, they often deploy these robots on little caterpillar tracks, don't they? But maybe these could be a bit more agile, getting over difficult bits of land and things like that.
The final sentence you've just filled in the blank says, and for emergency response, areas where traditional wheeled robots struggle to keep up.
Yeah.
And then it says, watch it in action, and you click the button, it takes you to that wild trailer. Which is quite something. Honestly, do not let me forget to put the link in the show notes, because I really, really want people to see this. It's mind-blowing. It really is. Anyway, enough about robot dogs. I think today you want to understand what our thoughts are about what you're worrying about a lot more than robot dogs. So, Claire, I've been so excited for this episode. We're doing a 2-part series today, aren't we? This week we're doing
a series if it's 2 parts, or is it just a 2-parter?
It's a sequel.
There we go. Just a 2-parter. We don't need to big
up too much. Okay, we're doing a 2-parter. This week's is 5 things that business owners worry about more than they should. And next week is 5 things that business owners don't worry enough about. And I guess it's fair to say that you, through Profit Cash Growth, are exposed to huge amount of business owner level decisions and, the exposure of the things they worry about, the things they don't worry about, and what that looks like. And I, through running businesses and, again, working and seeing alongside your clients, various sort of things, have had the same sort of experience. So we're going to, again, nothing to say we're right or wrong, but we picked our top 5 things today that we think business owners worry about more than they should. We're going to run through them, have a little bit of a conversation and a debate, and then feel free to write into marketing@profitcashgrowth.com if you feel like you disagree. So, the first thing for me that I fell into the trap of, business partners I've had have, and a lot of business owners do, is they worry about their competitors way more than they should. Sometimes it becomes such a distraction that they spend more time worrying about what the competitors are doing than actually executing on what they should be doing.
Comes a bit all-consuming and self-fulfilling, doesn't it? They're bigger than us. They're winning more customers than us.
Yeah, market share and things like that I hear. And the thing that is really apparent is that, and I learned this quite early on, is that you literally cannot comprehend how big the market often is that you're in. You live and you work in this small arena and you see what certain competitors do, but you forget that 95% of them are probably not even putting their head above the parapet, and you don't even know about them. You only know about the ones that shout the loudest. And you actually, I mean, there's another podcast that often says that 10 good customers could completely change your business. He often says that. And often it can be such a small part of the pie that you need to have a very, very, very substantial business. And I think that often just doesn't sink in for most people, because I guess, again, it goes to, it's human nature to think, the world is smaller than it is. You only see what's right at the end of your nose, but the world's a big old place and there's a lot going on. And I think often, the thing you need to do is really focus on a niche, focus on what what you can control, and try and, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't have some, knowledge of what the competitors are doing, but I think you need to tune it out as much as you can and really focus on what you can control and what you can do. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. Having lots of competitors in the market, sometimes it can make it more difficult when the market's quite saturated, but it also depends a lot on the cycle that your business is in, and that the product, on a high level, the product is. So, the accountancy world, for example, at the moment, there's so much work to go around. Yeah. In 10 years' time, it's not going to be the case. Last week's podcast was all about AI taking over. So in 10 years, it might be different. So accountancy is a product where that is in the life cycle rather than the individual products that you sell. If you can sort of get a bit of a better understanding on that, then it will help put some of these concerns about your competitors in perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I think is often, again, it's heavily human nature for us to want to compare with our peers. It's going back to the old tribe thing that, it's why we do the whole status comparison thing. And in business, you can only compare against the other things that are publicly available. And often you'll look at competitors and of course they'll shout about how many customers they have, or how many people they've onboarded this year, or whatever else. But they never say, I'm making this much profit.
Yeah.
The profit stick, the bottom line, therefore really frankly, the most and only thing that matters is completely uncomparable. So what I often see people doing, we've been guilty of this in the past as well, is that, you try and worry about that market share thing, and you can end up driving yourself into a situation where, you could both have the same market share. One of you is just making significantly more profit than the other, and actually you'd feel very different if you could suddenly see that other competitor's P&L versus yours. It's not, they could be having a much higher market share than you, but actually the P&L could be much worse.
You have this a lot when we talk about your estate agency, because you're part of a franchise group, and you've only ever taken on one area. So you've bought one postcode area, which at the start was 20,000 houses, and then what you expanded to like 30,000.
Yeah, it's a good example.
And I think you're in the top 10 in terms of all the franchises in the country. But there are people in that top 10 that are way bigger than you.
Yeah.
But the reason that they're bigger than you is because they've taken on 5 or 6 different areas.
Yeah, they've bolted on more licensed areas and geographically are far bigger. So their market area is much, much bigger.
So there's a handful of them that probably do maybe double your turnover.
There's a couple that probably do about double,
that do double your turnover.
But have 4 or 5 times the territory size.
Have 4 or 5 times the territory size. So we know that, they haven't reached the concentration in terms of the marketplace from a branding perspective. But then also the profit is not at the level.
Not at the level, yeah.
That
we had this recently
with
somebody that sent through, there was an estate agency business we were sent through that was for sale, and it ironically had exactly the same turnover as mine, but it made no profit.
Yeah.
Which was weird in comparison to a highly profitable version. So it goes to show you can do two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah. So stop worrying about your competitors too much.
Yeah, exactly. So number 2, you're going to talk about this one, aren't you, Claire?
Tax bills.
Tax bills. Business owners worry more than they should about. Now, I wasn't sure about putting this one in, because I feel like you should worry about your tax bill. Why do they worry more than they should, Claire? What do you think?
They end up worrying more than they should because they don't have the right finance process.
Because they don't have the money ready to pay it.
Yeah, because they don't have a proper cash flow mapped out. They're not really looking ahead into the future enough. And so that's when this does become worrying. But it can literally be nipped in the bud quite easily by having a bit of a plan around your cash flow, just making sure you've got visibility, that somebody is predicting what your tax bill is going to be, so you can make sure that you're plotting it from a cash flow perspective, and therefore you've got confidence that you're going to be able to afford that tax bill and it's not going to be a problem for you.
Yeah, I guess I've never worried about my tax bills. And for all the reasons that you've just said, because I'm probably too disciplined. I have a separate tax account and money goes in there and I save for the tax account. And then, there are strategic times where I'll have a conversation and I'll be like, I'm going to use that cash flow this year for this investment because I think I'll have it back by the end of the year.
Yeah. And then we do sometimes worry about tax bills.
And then I would worry about it if that was the case. But
I'd just like to say
spend my tax bill.
That if anyone can hear that creaking, it is the chair. It is not me and Simon guffing away on the podcast.
Can you stop moving? Those chairs are really, really, really noisy. Cool. So, third one, I'm going to talk about is, to be honest, it's a little bit linked to the first one, but it's a bit broader, and I would just call it vanity metrics. What's happening, Claire?
I'm so scared to move.
Oh, you're scared to move because your chair might make a noise. Okay.
I've never wanted to move more in my life.
No, it's fine.
I don't want to move my
mouth.
The
mics won't pick it up. It's fine. Yeah, people obsess over things like, we've talked about market share, but actually the other things are that I see all the time, just drives me mad. Revenue. Oh my God. I mean, if somebody tells me again that I'm a £5 million business, are you a £5 million business, or are you just handling £5 million worth of money on behalf of somebody?
Hey, look, I think it's horses for courses, isn't it? And I love a revenue target because it's very easy to connect that revenue target to pretty much everybody in your business. It's so easy to understand. Everybody really understands what sales is on a basic level. So from that perspective, I think it would be very motivating. And hey, I want to have a £5 million business.
I fell for this though.
I'm not ashamed to say that, and I'm working bloody hard to get there. When I think about that £5 million business, I genuinely don't care what the profit is. And I know people might be shocked to hear that because I'm an FD, but being able to achieve that feels like a milestone. And okay, yes, I'm going to be savvy about the finances along the way. So from a certain perspective, I'm in a luxurious position that I know that if I get to 5 million turnover, I will have a profit, and it will be a decent profit because of my job.
Yeah. But I know I could I could double the revenue tomorrow by slashing the fee by 50%. Is that the right thing to do? I probably won't make any profit, but I know I could double that by being the cheapest in the market. I know I could. The headline figure's easy to hit.
But I'm not saying that I would hit the headline figure at any cost. Like, it's simply like you saying that. I'm just like, no, that's fucking stupid. We're not going to do that.
No, I know, but people do, don't they? People get hung up on the vanity metric in lieu of the other things and end up just building a...
I do agree if it's the only thing that you're focusing on, it's damaging. But I actually think having that vanity metric is important to some people.
Sure. I mean, the other vanity metrics that I would pick out that I see all the time, things like followers, social media followers, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like this is the podcast here is a prime example of that. We have a specific niche number of people that are absolutely highly engaged. The chances of being able to come in somebody's ears for 30 minutes every week is and they allow you to. Oh, what are you laughing at? You know what I meant. And they allow you. You've gone now. You've gone, and they allow you to do that every week in, week out, and be highly engaged. Versus, we've seen this before. We've seen people with like TikTok accounts who, they can get 1 million people watch their TikTok, and not a single person would buy their product. Not a single person really listens to it. And there's the same old argument about the long form YouTube versus the short form. And I think, the future is about being famous to a few and having a small amount of people that are really engaged with you on your side. Same thing with website traffic. You can drive rubbish website traffic. We've done this. You can pay ads and we could drive 1,000 people to your website tomorrow. There could be 1,000 of the wrong people, and it's just the wrong metric to be following, isn't it?
Yes.
Claire. So, but the metrics that do matter, as we always say, is profit, cash and growth. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Go on, number 4.
Number 4.
What have you got?
Is branding. I think I see this so often when people are starting businesses.
And be honest.
They spend, and we all do it.
Put your hand up.
At the start.
We all play around with logos.
Yeah, at the start, it's nice to mess around with Canva and create a fancy looking logo, and you dream about what your business is going to be like in the future, and it's never...
It means you haven't got to go out and do any selling, does it?
You can avoid the stuff that actually makes a difference. So, I can see why we all get stuck in that trap when we're starting. Yeah. But honestly, like, branding means nothing. Like, really, as long as you don't have something that damages your brand. Yeah. I mean, there are some slight differences. For example, if you're planning on being, if your goal is to be the next Facebook, or your goal is to be the next fairy washing up liquid or something, then maybe pay a little bit more attention to branding. But especially if you're B2B, saying it as it is the best thing.
Honestly, you don't even need a website, do you? You could put a website in 4 or 5 years down the line. Do you know what? What matters, if you can get someone in a call and you can talk to them and convince them that you can do a good job for them, you're half there.
We saw last night, we were watching Dragon's Den, and there were a couple on there, and they had like I think they had like a platform which was equivalent of maybe like Vinted for kitchens. So like you could sell your kitchen on there, and they were actually doing all right. But they just spent so much money on consultants, and I think they spent like $800,000 on a website or something.
They spent a load on the website, but they were spending £100,000 every year on maintenance of the website, which I don't even know what that was for.
No one knows what that was. Even the dragons didn't know what that was. But they spent all this money on rebranding because consultants had told them that they needed it and things like that, and they were making no profit at all. And so they didn't get did they get investment? They did. Deborah invested in the end. Yeah. But they just spent so much money on the things that don't really matter. If it doesn't stop a customer from buying from you, then there's no reason to do anything about it. And your brand, rarely, there are a few examples where that's not the case, but on the masses, there are rarely any reason why your customer would not buy from you because of your logo or the colour scheme that you've got.
The other thing that falls into this category is around offices or shops. And this is a big one. I see this a lot. I saw a post the other day about people talking about a plumbing business, and he had a showroom and all this, and he had to man it and all this cost attached to it. And they were just like, you don't need any of that. Actually, is that bringing you any additional business or revenue? And I saw this at the beginning with the stage. It's like, do you need a shop on the high street? Does that really do anything anymore? And we proved that model means it doesn't do anything. And I see this a lot where people spend a fortune on these fancy showrooms or fancy offices, decking them out with all this fancy furniture for nobody to walk through the door. And again, it's just one of those things that, honestly, if you're worrying about that, you're worrying about it way more than you should.
Okay, so and then moving on to number 5.
Yeah, this one's a big one for me because this sort of sits into like decision procrastination. And this is, I think business owners worry way more than they should about making that one wrong decision. And what I mean about that is that they spend their life thinking the decision they're about to make is going to ruin everything for them. And I can only conceptualize this in the best possible way that it's ever been conceptualized to me, which was through Jeff Bezos, who said there's A doors and there's B doors. And when you make a decision, you need to understand whether you're walking through an A door or a B door. An A door, I can't remember which way around it was, but
the A doors are important.
An A door is a door that you can't walk back through if you walk through it.
It would be life defining or changing.
Or you can't change. You can't go back from
undo.
It. It's like having a
decision.
child. That would be an A door. You can't undo having a child. You can't undo getting married. You can undo getting married, can't you? That's not really an A door. It's a B door.
Can you undo it?
Yeah.
It sounds like you were.
It sounds like I've been doing some research.
I've got a way out of this.
Yeah. It popped up on Facebook and one of my Facebook ads.
It's like it's just dawned on you. Shit, I can't get out of this.
Yeah, you probably can't get out of having a child. I'm trying to think if there's a way of doing that.
Shutting down your business, but something like that is very final. Getting rid of somebody, a member of your staff.
You're probably not going to get them back because they're probably not going to forgive you for it and come back to you if you make the wrong decision there. So all those decisions are A doors. And then you've got but actually you realise really quickly that there isn't many of those decisions you'll make. Mm-hmm. Actually, pretty much every decision is a B door, which is like, we're going to spend $5,000 on this marketing this month. Well, you know what? If it doesn't work at the end of the month, you can cut it back off and you won't spend it again moving forward. And it's the ability to make that next decision quickly with the right insight that actually is what saves it from being an A door versus a B door, if that makes sense. So I think it's understanding that decisions can be walked back from quite quick. I mean, if you need any advice on this, go and talk to Keir Starmer. He's a perfect example of walking through B doors all the time, isn't he?
On what most people would think are A situations.
Ironically, he's been brilliant at taking A doors and turning them into B doors. So that's, goes to show what you can do with it. But yeah, how do you approach this in terms of your fear of making that one wrong decision? What's your kind of value proposition with it?
I normally challenge myself to think, if I make this decision now, will I still be thinking about it in 2 years' time? Like, will the consequences still be
brilliant, Claire?
At the forefront of my mind.
Brilliant.
Oh, thanks, Simon.
Because that's exactly the way. The only time that I've ever used that decision-making process is in our property business when we're buying properties. It's more thinking about the stresses or the things that are happening, not throwing the towel in because it's getting a bit stressful there, and always thinking, will I care about this in a year's time?
Yeah.
And if the answer's, I'm still going to be thinking about this in a year's time, that is quite a big decision. But if it's there's no way I'm going to be thinking about this in a year's time, it will have moved on, then, but that's more about dealing with kind of your stress and various other things, isn't it? More than anything, I think. But That is
but
really
you're stressing about decision making, aren't you? Normally, absolutely. There's a decision that's got to be made. So,
exactly.
Will this still be impacting your life in 2-3 years' time?
So there you go. There's our take of the top 5 things that we think business owners worry about way more than they should. And tune in next week where we're going to talk to you about the 5 things that we don't think business owners worry enough about. And let's move on to this week's Profit Cash Growth Extra. So this week, Claire, you're going old school, aren't you?
Telephones.
Telephones.
But digital telephones. So we've just got a new telephone system installed by Virtual Landline. Really cheap. It's like £10 per user per month for the package that we've gone for. They all get a business number. We've got like some fancy call system. So when you now dial the office, it's thanks for calling Profit Cash Growth, dial 14, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And we can dial out from the numbers as well. So we get unlimited calls out from the numbers. So just dirt cheap, like £10 a month.
And the cool thing is how it works, because it works just on mobile phones, doesn't it? You don't need actual phones in the office, do you?
Yeah, you can put the app. You can put the app on your mobile phone and you can put the app on your computer as well. So you can answer the calls on your computer for people that don't want to use it, because not everyone has personal phones here. So
you can get features where it like records the call, it transcribes the call, it call monitoring. There's loads of good stuff.
Recording all the calls out of hours. You can divert numbers to different places. What else has it got? And when somebody leaves a voicemail, you then get an email with the voicemail on it.
Yeah. So we've got no affiliation to it, but the one you picked was called Virtual
Landline. I've been with them for a little while, actually. We just had like the cheapest buy a number through them for our website sort of thing. And they've always been really good, really helpful. But what really I enjoyed was the service. I spoke to the guy on Wednesday morning and he sent me through a quote, which I could accept digitally. And then immediately I got a questionnaire through saying, how do you want the system set up? So it was like, name the employees, name what should happen when somebody dials number 1, tell us what you want the voice messages to say. And they recorded all of that for me as well. Really, really good. It's
interesting. You wouldn't basically effectively what you're doing is bought an app, and you really wouldn't expect that kind of high touch service
for that price point. No, I agree.
For that price point, and it's really interesting. But I guess it must be hugely high margin for them because it's all voice over IP, so there's no cost to them. Once it's in. It's just a subscription. So if you're just paying for the tech that's already been built once, and so it's a typical SaaS model, isn't it?
Yes.
So really, really interesting. Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us for another week's podcast. As always, if you feel like you might have outgrown your current accountant, you'd like to work with Claire and the team at Profit Cash Growth, go over to the website profitcashgrowth.com. As always, please listen back through any of the podcast episodes. They're all fairly evergreen in the deep dives. Lots of stuff that you can learn on there. If you'd like a copy of Claire's book, Profit by Numbers, we give away a free hard copy. You can just go to the website, order a copy there, and we'll pop one in the post to you. Loads of people giving us loads of great reviews about that book. So do order your copy. And as always, share this with a friend, and we'll see you again next week.